Small. Wow, tiny.
You are currently listening to Tiny Table,
where we explore TTRPGs you might not have heard of.
Whether big or small, we hope to cover them all.
Because we know that great things can come in tiny packages.
Hey, this is Skylar from Tiny Table, and the following episode is our rules rundown for MÖRK BORG. If you already know how the game is played, then feel free to skip ahead to the actual play episodes. However, if it's your first time, you need a refresher, or you just love the sound of Holly's beautiful voice, then sit back, relax, and we'll give you all you need to know. Now, here's the pitch.
MÖRK BORG gives you the chance to explore the blasted world of a Swedish doom metal album cover. This dungeon crawler will appeal to fans of Dark Souls, Black Sabbath, and the old school Renaissance. The world is dark, cruel, and full of horrors expelled by the dying earth. The dredges of civilization define themselves in league with or against the great basilisk, she. Meager peasants pray for painless deaths in the rain-soaked paddocks of Galgenbeck. You are a killer, a wanderer in this world gone by. Your identity lies in the sharpened iron in your grip and the dredges of your last meal, still stuck in your crooked teeth. You fight for silver pieces, enough to buy somewhere to stay, something to drink, to eat, to sharpen the sword, and to wander back out again. The calendar of Necrubel enters its twilight years. As a seventh prophecy looms, people fight scared and alone for another day in a world that cares little for them. You are one such survivor. For now. What you'll need. 1. Number of players. 2. Duration of game. 3. Materials needed. 4. Content warnings. MÖRK BORG gives no explicit recommendations for table size, though, like many games in the OSR, we find it plays best with 4 to 6 players, one of whom acts as the game master while the remainder play individual characters. Small groups of 2 or 3 can engage by the game master running smaller groups of foes, or by having each player control 2 or even 3 characters. The game is deadly by design, so these backup characters can be helpful to run even with regular-sized groups. Larger groups of 7 or more may enjoy leaning into the game's brutal aesthetics, with a meat grinder approach to dungeoneering where colossal trolls or deadly wyverns leave only a few survivors from the initial group of many. Game sessions can reasonably last any duration, and we find 2 to 4 hours is our sweet spot, and MÖRK BORG easily supports everything from one-shots to modules to full campaigns. The game even includes a helpful sliding scale time mechanic in its calendar of Necrubel, a grim collection of dark prophecies. Depending on the length of the game you want to run, these prophecies can come to pass anywhere from once every several months to as frequently as every other day. And 7 prophecies fulfilled spells the end of the campaign for good. In a lovely doom metal twist, the book even instructs you to burn it once you reach its 7th prophecy. Would that I could, Stockholm Cartel, but your book is just too damn pretty. To play, everyone will need a full set of dice, from a D4 to a D20. Free character sheets can be found and printed from mörkborg.com/content, along with a convenient one-page rules reference document that allows for easy clarification of common mechanics. At least one player should bring the full rules document, which can be found for free on their content page as a bare-bones PDF. Fun as it is to get such great content for free, we highly recommend purchasing the physical book or a full PDF because the art on display is truly fantastic, and it really helps set the tone for this delightfully grim, dark world. When we reference page numbers, we'll be referencing the page numbers of the full art rules book. Speaking of grimdark, some quick content warnings. MÖRK BORG plays around freely in the aesthetics of Swedish doom metal, and the world provides plenty of dire descriptions of its cruelty. The book includes mentions of death and dismemberment, including to children and animals, cannibalism, human sacrifice, cults, substance abuse, dissection, plentiful violence, physical deformities, and general filthy gunk. Despite the length of this list, we find MÖRK BORG fairly accessible and fun to play around in, largely due to its tongue-in-cheek attitude. There's a healthy dose of everyone sucks here. That necessitates a lot of, well, sucking. But nothing in the text strikes us as gratuitous or overindulgent. They also include a hard-line anti-bigotry stance on their website for all third-party content creators. In our own play, we showcase the following content: mentions of abuse towards animals, violence against teenagers, mentions of death, cults, physical deformities, and general violence. Preparation. For game masters and players. For players, rolling a new character is quick and fun. Players only need to bring one character, though pre-rolling a backup may be wise. Character creation can be entirely randomized in this game. There are tables to roll on for everything from your name to your meager starting possessions. We encourage players to go whole hog on the randomness, letting the dice dictate what kind of wretched scum you'll portray. The system is classless by default, but if you want to distinguish your characters, you can roll 6 optional classes starting on page 46. These aren't your typical fighting men and magic users, though. Say hello to the Fang Deserter, a warrior who bites as often as they strike, or the wretched royalty, deposed of their once prosperous house to wallow in the muck with the rabble. You can find the character creation rules on page 18. Simply roll up your equipment, your weapons, armor, and your 4 ability scores and your hit points. Name your character if you wish, but don't get too attached. For fun flavor, you can roll on the optional table on page 39, determining things like your terrible traits, bad habits, or troubling tales. For Game Masters, preparing a session of MÖRK BORG lies on the simpler end of the dungeon crawler spectrum. The rules are fairly light across the board, so you'll never need to get into the weeds of spell rulings or litigation of magic contracts. The rules of the game focus on the physical realities of our protagonists, and the politicking of the world is far beyond their ken. Towns are small, individual monsters are mechanically threatening, and problems are solved with tools, wits, grit, and luck, in that order. Many great adventures have been posted for free by both MÖRK BORG's own authors and a dedicated fan base, all on their website. The book itself contains a high-level impressionistic overview of the grim world of MÖRK BORG and its sundry environments, from the severed peninsula of Gript to the black glass spires of Allianz. There is even a fantastic adventure, Wrought Black Sludge, included in the back of the full rulebook. This desolate delve to rescue the wretched son of the Shadow King features a pool of bubbling ooze, violin-playing skeletons, poisonous mushrooms, and cannibal cults, all of which serves as a great vertical slice of MÖRK BORG's so grimdark it's hilarious style. Use it to introduce your players. If you're going to create your own adventures of MÖRK BORG, you'll need to make a hostile environment, and a reason to go there. Dungeons are classic, but this game also loves unfriendly neighborhoods and vast wildernesses as the focus of the action. All in all, you'll need a wretched place to delve into, monsters to populate it, see pages 58 to 69 for a great starting bestiary, and a reason to risk life and limb in the muck. All your classic points of intrigue for old-school dungeon design thrive in MÖRK BORG's rules-light approach. Put 2 competing factions in the same confined space, create traps with no built-in solution, and add a ticking clock. The simple DR system, which we'll explain shortly, eliminates the need to meticulously plan the math of the adventure design, while still allowing you to easily predefine the difficulty of any elements you want to set in stone. If you've got 1 to 5 named NPCs, a handful of gnarly traps and creatures, and a compelling reason to brave these dangers, you're ready to run a game of MÖRK BORG. The 2 modes of play: non-violence and violence. MÖRK BORG features 2 modes of play, non-violence and violence. Non-violence entails the same back and forth of information as you'd find in Dungeons & Dragons or any other classic dungeon crawler. The Game Master lays out a scene before the players with a brief description. The players dictate their actions in the space, and uncertain actions are resolved with die rolls. All such rolls are referred to as tests, resolved with the roll of a d20 and adding or subtracting the relevant ability score. The 4 abilities, agility, presence, strength, and toughness, range from a -3 to a +6. But you're unlikely to start with numbers higher than a +2, so success is largely dictated by the roll of the d20 and the test difficulty rating, or DR. DR ranges from 6 for tasks so simple you'd be a fool to fail, all the way to 18 for the near impossible. The standard DR is 12, meaning if a test is otherwise unspecified, 12 is the DR. Certain effects raise or lower the DR of all tests of a certain ability, such as all strength and agility DRs increasing by 2 when you're over-encumbered. Non-violence is, by default, unstructured, and there aren't rules provided for how long any given action takes, so feel free to use common sense when resolving actions. A good MÖRK BORG Game Master should provide areas with multiple points of engagement, such that each character could have something to interact with in the room. Engagement in MÖRK BORG is mostly mechanically engaged when it's physical and immediate. The game has little more than basic reaction and morale tables to determine NPC interactions, so expect little mechanical elaboration on the social spheres of this world. Save for the odd presence test made to charm or perceive, Conversations with NPCs will involve whatever you decide to bring to them, from top-level descriptions to in-character improvisational dialogue. In our game, we take the approach of voicing our characters in real time so we can enjoy the grisly, over-the-top characterizations of our sordid protagonists. The second mode of play, violence, begins once things break into physical conflict between the player characters and anything else, including each other. Turn order is determined with a 50-50 on which side goes first, with the option to run with individual character initiative rolls if you prefer things less swingy. Players make all the d20 rolls in combat, both to attack their foes on their turn and to defend themselves when their enemies strike. All combat DRs are 12 unless an item, situation, or effect specifies otherwise. Melee attacks are made with the strength test. Ranged attacks are with presence, and defense is determined by agility. Armor doesn't make you harder to hit in this game. Heavy armor actually makes you an easier target. Instead, armor provides damage mitigation in the form of a negative die roll subtracted from the damage received. Weapons, likewise, are distinguished only by their damage dice and number of hands needed to wield. A 20 on the die rewards attacking players with sundered enemy armor and defending players with extra attacks. A 1 on the die punishes attacking players with broken weapons and defending players with sundered armor of their own. Player characters brought to exactly 0 HP are broken, but have a chance to barely survive. Player characters brought to negative HP are dead immediately. Start rolling up a new character. The volatility of weapons, armor, and life itself extends to the unreliability of magic in this world. Powers, both sacred and unclean, can be found in esoteric scrolls, and how often and how successfully you cast them are determined by your presence. Failed tests to cast spells dizzy the would-be caster, forcing their powers to blow up in their face. Page 44 hosts a list of hilarious and terrifying arcane catastrophes a malevolent game master can use for any natural 20s or 1s in the casting attempt. Some magic your players may have in their corner are omens, an optional resource players can expend to reroll dice, deal maximum damage, mitigate damage taken, neutralize a crit or fumble, or lower a test DR. Play without omens if you want the bones to fall where they may, or play with omens if you want to give your players a glimmer of hope in this dark, hopeless world. When our players come to rest, they heal a few of their missing hit points. If they've succeeded in this scenario, slain a mighty foe, or unearthed a rare treasure, the game master may elect for them to get better. This serves as a nice session cap, an equivalent to leveling up in this level-less system. Each character has a chance to raise their HP, find some extra treasure in the rubble, and update their ability scores. We love how this system includes possibilities for health increases to stagnate, rubble to hide no treasure, and ability scores to go down instead of up. The resolution rolls for getting better lean towards improvement at the beginning, but level out as characters reach their potential. Finally, at the dawn of each day, the Game Master will roll a die, D100 for long campaigns, all the way to D2 for a one-shot. On the roll of a 1, a misery is rolled on the calendar of Necrobell, heralding some new apocalyptic change of the world. The 7th misery will always be 7. 7, and the world dies with it. Burn this book, end this podcast. The game and your lives end here. Legal. Tiny Table is an independent production by Tiny Table LLC and is not affiliated with the Cult Art Mystari Games or Stockholm Cartel. It is published under MÖRK BORG's third-party license. MÖRK BORG is a copyright of Occult Art Mystari Games and Stockholm Cartel. And with that, guys, you're ready to play. See you soon, you wretched little creatures. Hi, and thank you for listening to our podcast. We hope you enjoyed the episode, and if you could leave a review, that would be amazing. If you have an idea for a TTRPG we should play, feel free to email us at tinytablebusiness@gmail.com. And while you're at it, follow us on our socials to see art from the episode, updates, and any other goofs and gaffes we may come up with. Our full list of socials is in the episode description. See you later.